What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to the latest transfer news video, and in this video we will talk about Manchester United agreeing a deal with Sporting for Bruno Fernandes. What do you think about Everton getting an £85 million bid for Richarlison from Barcelona, and what do you think about the mind-blowing fact that they actually rejected it? Why on earth would Barcelona bid 85 million for Richarlison? His numbers are not even that impressive. And yes, he is Brazilian, but for 85 million you would expect a 20 goal a season player every season to score that in the Premier League. And also we will have some big updates on the Wijnaldum contract situation at Liverpool and other news around Liverpool FC as well. So if you are enjoying these videos, please leave a like and let me know in the comments below where are you watching from, and of course if you are new to my channel, subscribe so you never miss the latest transfer updates. I usually cover Liverpool transfers, but in this video I have to cover these other transfers because these are huge news. Manchester United just announced that they have reached an agreement with Sporting Club de Portugal for the transfer of Bruno Fernandes, and the transfer deal could be worth up to 68 million for Bruno Fernandes. Do you think that Bruno Fernandes is worth that? Because yes, he produced brilliant numbers, but those came in the Portuguese league, and before he was in the Portuguese league he didn't really impress many people actually. So Bruno Fernandes is 25 years old, and yes, he has brilliant numbers. He scored 33 goals last season. This season he already has 15 goals in 28 games for Sporting. But the fact that when he was playing in the Serie A, he never scored more than 5 goals in one season is a little bit concerning. And yes, he was a young player, he was a teenager, and then he was 22 years old when he played for Udinese and Sampdoria. But he never scored more than 5 goals in the Serie A. So that gives me a little bit of doubt whether he's worth 68 million. But Manchester United are in a position where they are desperate for a goal-scoring midfielder. And I think the fact that Bruno Fernandes was rumored to be getting closer to a deal with Barcelona really made Man United act fast, because they were hesitant to pay the money that Sporting was asking for when they heard that Sporting was actually in need of money because of financial problems. Bruno Fernandes started out his career in Novara, and then he signed for Udinese in 2013. And he scored 4 goals in his first season, 4 goals in his second, 3 goals in his third season in the Serie A, and then he scored 5 goals in his 4th season in the Serie A for Sampdoria. Do you think he's worth that much? Because yes, he scored 16 goals, 33 goals, and then 15 goals in just half a season this season for Sporting. So in the end, for Sporting, he has an incredible goals to games ratio. He scored like almost 60 goals for Sporting in 2.5 seasons basically, which is very impressive. But the fact that he could never score more than 5 goals in the Serie A is a little bit of a worry. But as I said, Man United are not in a position to really pick and choose, because at the moment they are outside of the top 4 and they really need an attacking midfielder who can score goals. Because at the moment Pogba is out injured, their other midfielders are not really scoring goals regularly, so Man United desperately needed an upgrade. And I think Bruno Fernandes, even if this deal could be worth as much as 68 million pounds, it's definitely an upgrade on what they have. I mean, Andreas Pereira is starting regularly for Manchester United, and what does he bring to Man United? Not a lot. I don't understand why Man United even signed him and why they keep playing him. Probably because they don't have anybody better up until now. So what do you think about Bruno Fernandes? And after weeks of negotiations, the Man United executive vice chairman Ed Woodward has reached an agreement. The initial fee is £46 million, and then a lot of add-ons. Sporting would receive a further €10 million if Bruno Fernandes reaches what are considered easily achievable targets and an additional 15 million euros if more difficult targets are met. So it is understood these clauses include Fernandes winning the Ballon d'Or. So probably the realistic fee is closer to 50 million that Man United are paying for Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes not only gets Man United goals, which is vital, but he has almost as many assists as goals he scored for Sporting Club de Portugal, and also he created a lot of chances. In just the Portuguese league, he created 239 chances in the past 2.5 seasons, which is absolutely massive number, and he is first in terms of all the players ranked for chances created. For big chances created, he is second in the whole league with 31 big chances created in those 2.5 seasons. And also he's first with through balls, and he's first with goals scored from outside of the box. He scored 9 goals. And I expect Bruno Fernandes to score some long-range epic bangers. And I can't lie, I wanted Liverpool to sign Bruno Fernandes, but if he would cost 55-60 million pounds, for that amount, I'm not sure he's worth it. But who knows? Of course, Manchester United desperately need a player like that. And only time and only the future will tell whether he's worth that amount or not. But for Man United, it's a calculated gamble because they are desperately in need of an attacking midfielder who can score a lot of goals and get assists, create chances, score some goals outside of the box. I mean, Man United don't have any midfielders who scores goals regularly. And that's a big hole in their whole team. And Bruno Fernandes is a very direct player. He likes to take on players, and he also likes to have shots from inside and then outside of the box. Bruno Fernandes has had more shots on goal than any other player in the Portuguese league, and he's a versatile right footer who has been used in various positions during his time at Sporting, but the majority of his minutes this season has come at number 10, and that's certainly the most obvious position for him to slot into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's favored 4-2-3-1 lineup. So when Rashford gets back, Bruno Fernandes could line up with Daniel James and Rashford either side of him and Martial ahead of him, and Bruno Fernandes will be that like number 10 player behind Martial. And I think that front four for Man United is actually a lot more potent, and now not only Rashford and Martial can score goals regularly, but Bruno Fernandes will score goals regularly for Man United, and they desperately needed a player like that. Because if you combine Andreas Pereira, Jesse Lingard and Juan Mata, they played a combined total of 29 games in that number 10 role in all competitions, and all 3 of them combined only scored 3 goals in 29 appearances. Just 3 goals. That's absolutely shocking for a club of Manchester United's size. So the bottom line is they desperately needed Bruno Fernandes. It's pretty obvious, and now they got it. Now let's move on to the other news, which is absolutely shocking to me. Everton reject Barcelona's 100 million euro offer for Richarlison, the Brazilian striker/winger, who is probably Everton's best player still. That's 85 million euros. I mean, the first shock is the fact that Barcelona bid 85 million for Richarlison. They didn't find anybody better for that price, honestly. And the other fact is that Everton rejected it. It's crazy. Probably it has to do with the fact that Everton are loaded with money, and they probably spend around 100 million pounds on players every season. But still, I think that it is a lot of money to reject for a player who is probably never going to get another offer like that. I mean, Everton, don't get me wrong, they are a decent club, they are a decent sized club. And behind this move is Eric Abidal, the former Barcelona left back, who is now Barcelona's sporting director. And Richarlison is a long-standing target for Eric Abidal. but Everton obviously rejected this move, because how would the fans feel if Everton in January sold one of their best players? I think the Everton fans would absolutely riot and go crazy. And of course they are looking to strengthen their squad rather than deplete it. And also the new manager came in, Carlo Ancelotti, and if Everton would have accepted this and let Richarlison move to Barcelona, then Ancelotti could probably have resigned, because imagine you are Carlo Ancelotti, one of the best managers who won almost like the most trophies out of any manager who is active in world football right now. You come into Everton and instantly, like 1 month later, they sell your best player in the team. I think that Carlo Ancelotti wouldn't accept that. So maybe the circumstances also transpired in this deal being rejected. Eric Abidal, the Barcelona sporting director, actually believes that Richarlison, who just signed a new 5-year deal in December, would complement Luis Suarez's style of play, and maybe Barcelona are trying to find Luis Suarez's replacement, but I don't think Richarlison is good enough to replace Luis Suarez, because, as I said, yes, Richarlison is a very young player, but he's probably never going to be near as good as Luis Suarez. But let's actually take a look at Richarlison's career. So he started out in Brazil, in Mineiro, in the Serie B of Brazilian football. He scored 9 goals in his first season, and then he scored 4, and then 15 goals in his third season for Fluminense. That was his breakthrough season. And then he scored 5 goals for Watford. Everton signed him because he was a big prospect, and he scored 14 goals in his first season. He already has 10 goals this season, and I think he will get a lot more when he gets back from injury. And also Richarlison is a Brazilian international, so maybe that's where Barcelona feel that his potential is very high and Richarlison could really get to crazy heights. But 85 million, I mean, football has gone. Football has gone completely. If Richarlison is worth 85 million, and honestly, any player is worth the amount that another club is willing to pay for him. So if Barcelona are willing to pay 85 million for Richarlison, then you have to say that in today's market right now, Richarlison is worth 85 million. At least one club. Let me know, is Barcelona going crazy, or am I going crazy thinking that for Richarlison, who is like, don't get me wrong, he's a decent player, but he's not an 85 million pound player. Mohamed Salah, Mane and Firmino combined, their transfer fees combined, and even one of them are worth more than Richarlison, in my opinion. Of course, that's not a valid comparison because they weren't signed when the market was this crazy. So right now, Richarlison is worth 85 million to Barcelona. I mean, I just can't comprehend this. Like, somebody help me in the comments to make sense of this, because I just can't deal with this. I can't understand, like, how would Barcelona feel? Yes, it's probably because it's the January transfer window, because it's the end of the transfer window, because it's Carlo Ancelotti, new manager into Everton, Everton's best player. They probably don't want to sell, so let's offer them like 20 million more than his market value, or maybe even 30 million more. But still, it's just crazy. It's like, it's almost as crazy as Fernando Torres selling for like 50 million and then Andy Carroll being bought by Liverpool for 35 million. Oh my god, those two transfers still, I mean, the 50 million for Torres was crazy, but Andy Carroll for 35 million at that time, I mean, and at that time that was a club record transfer in for Liverpool. That's probably as crazy as Richarlison for 85 million right now, and probably the prices have doubled. So what would Richarlison's transfer fee be accurately right now? Probably around 50 million, let's say. Yeah, 50 million. I wouldn't if I was Barcelona, I wouldn't pay more than 50 million for Richarlison, but probably Barcelona offered this crazy amount because they knew that that 50 or 60 million would probably be rejected by Everton, but they rejected this as well straight away, like no discussions, no questions. They probably didn't even ask Richarlison, what do you think about this? Because I mean, Richarlison, it would have been an absolute dream for him. No disrespect to Everton, but to go to Barcelona, one of the top 5 biggest clubs in the world, and to play with Messi and Luis Suarez and Griezmann, and to stay at Everton, that's the other option. I mean, that's just crazy, honestly. And Arsenal actually made a very interesting, very decent transfer in my opinion. Arsenal's defense have been a shambles this season, and they just signed Southampton fullback Cedric Soares, who is 28 years old. His contract is up at the end of the season, so he is joining on loan until the end of the season. They will probably sign him on a pre-contract. They will probably sign him on a full contract at the end of his loan spell. But this loan gives Arsenal like 6 months to assess whether they want Cedric Soares full time or not. And it also gives Cedric Soares a brilliant chance to play for one of the true big clubs in English football. Even though Arsenal are at the moment in mid-table, I still consider them one of the biggest clubs in England. I think Arsenal are still a bigger club than Tottenham, bigger club than Manchester City in terms of trophies, history, the size of the club. Not in terms of how good they are on the pitch, obviously. And now to the update for the Wijnaldum contract situation update. Dave Maddock, who is a journalist and he's a well-respected journalist, he has connections with Liverpool FC. This is what he said about Wijnaldum's contract situation. Liverpool Football Club will offer him a new contract. The key was not that, but that he is approaching 30 years old. When Liverpool are looking at contracts, they reward contracts for performance, but they also look at potential selling on value. But the fact that he's 30 years old, you give one more contract, you get nothing for it. You have to be sure that when you give that player a contract, it works. So if you give him a 5-year contract, is he going to go on until he's 35? I suspect they are talking to him about the length of the contract and not money. They will give him the right money, but maybe Wijnaldum wants like a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract, and Liverpool want to give him like a 2-year contract. And that was the issue previously with James Milner. But in the end, James Milner getting an extension because of his great performances. And it would be a shame if Wijnaldum only left Liverpool because he wanted 1 more year on his contract, and Liverpool wouldn't willing to give him that. But yeah, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to make, and thanks for watching. See you later guys, goodbye.